From AWS, please welcome to the stage, Kim Majeros.
Welcome to Austin. How's everyone doing today? All right. Well, we're going to do a quick introduction. My name's Kim Majeros. I have responsibility for global education. I also have the amazing honor to represent the U.S. state, local, and education business here at Amazon Web Service. You know what? Imagine is an amazing time for us as a team because it really allows us an opportunity to connect with all of you, our customers. And there is the one thing that keeps us all focused and come to work every single day, and that is to have the passion to serve the mission to which all of you represent. So because we're all connected in the belief that technology paired with human ingenuity will change the world, I want to say thank you for taking the time and investing with us. So before we begin, I want to acknowledge our exhibiting partners, because without them today, it would not be possible. So thank you so much for your support, and I encourage all of you to visit the expo hall next door. It's a great opportunity to meet with our partners and, more importantly, learn more about what they provide, again, to serve the mission of education and government. You know, in the spirit of learning and be curious, and for those of you who don't know, that's one of our leadership principles, and it's probably one of my favorite. We have an incredible lineup of content highlighted by more than 25 different breakout sessions. So for all of you presenting during the breakouts or attending the breakouts, I hope you exercise that opportunity not only to learn, but to network, engage, and ultimately innovate on behalf of our citizens, students, and actually our employees as well. So let's get started. As people are still wandering in, there's plenty of seats up front, folks. We all know, come on down. You know what? AWS released 3,410 new services and features last year. And we didn't do that with our competitors in mind. We did it with all of you in mind. We have a very customer-centric approach in how we look at our services, and it leads our principle for us at the start. 90% of AWS services come directly from hearing about what you need. And the remaining 10%, we really use that as an opportunity to maybe think around the corner, maybe think about something different or uniquely, but it's based on direct feedback that all of you provide our account teams and our service teams. So keep providing us that feedback so that we can help innovate on behalf of you, our customers. You know, a testament to that innovation, we offer 60% more services and 40% more features than the next closest cloud provider. So you can innovate without any constraints. And we feel that that's important for you to continue to take the problems and the challenges and the opportunities you see in your business and continue to move it forward. AWS is architected to be the most flexible, secure cloud computing environment today, built to satisfy secure and compliant requirements for all the sensitive workloads that many of our customers in this environment have to deal with. I'm going to give you an example. Gwinnett Public Schools, which is the largest school system in Georgia, turned to AWS 2 years ago. They needed to strengthen their defense against ransomware and other cyber threats. They needed to ensure that continuity during emergency conditions bolsters the trust of not only the students and the family, but the faculty and staff. AWS supports customers from all industries to better prepare for cybersecurity risk, build cyber resilience, and access solutions to improve defenses at every point in their cyber journey. You know, it's an exciting point of growth and expansion for public sector organizations ready to leverage AWS to innovate, simplify, and transform. And interestingly enough, only 25% from industry analysts tell us that 25% of workloads today are currently running in a cloud environment. So that means there's a significant opportunity for us to continue to help innovate and support your missions. A study released last month, commissioned by AWS and conducted by Accenture, estimates that AWS infrastructure is up to 4.1 times more efficient than on-prem environments. Now, when you start to optimize those workloads within AWS, you can reduce your carbon footprint by up to 99%. So if you haven't upgraded or migrated, now is the time. AWS has many native pathways to AWS to address your needs so that you could reliably deliver on your mission. For example, virtual desktops. Or think about intelligent document processing solutions like Amazon Text Track, Amazon Comprehend, or Amazon Augmented AI can actually help you automate tasks like expense management, invoice processing, or payments. And we all know we love to do all of those things. But for those of you who are in a university environment, think about the most challenging times that schools have, even in a K through 12 perspective. Enrollment and exam periods, you see those spikes. But you know what? When you start to use the power of cloud, you can adjust and adapt quickly, easily, and securely to ensure that you continue to drive and develop the opportunity to serve your students. We'll partner with you to complete a full optimization, licensing, and assessment at no cost for your environment. And I think that's very important. You're not in this alone. We have teams that are out there to support and understand your journey, where you're at, and where you're looking to go. But it's important to know that we have the tools that are necessary to help you understand the opportunity and, more importantly, execute. Our migration evaluator provides a data-driven recommendations, and I think that's extremely important to understand what those options are, but more importantly, provide you that path. And then we'll introduce you to the plethora of partners. We have over 200 certified AWS migration competency partners ready to assist you. And it's important to know how those partners can work with you hand in hand to help you on your journey. The last piece is really about the Migration Acceleration Program itself. It provides the tools, helps you reduce costs, automate and accelerate execution, along with tailored training approaches to content and expertise from the partners in our APN. You know, a study commissioned by AWS conducted by the Lyke group proves some very important numbers. For those surveys who migrated to the cloud on AWS, they saw a 45% decrease in security-related incidents. They saw a 20% reduction in total technology infrastructure costs. And the one that I get excited about is 29% increase on your staff moving up the stack to focus on innovation. We're all here to improve the environments for our students. We're here to improve the environment for constituency engagement, and it's important to see that that opportunity is available for all of you in your organizations. You know, many of us are seeing the changing world of infrastructure providers right now. We hear the challenges that you're facing, but we're here to help, and I want you to know that your team is there to help you. For customers to look to migrate to AWS, we have the migration accelerators, we have independent software vendors that can help you move to a SaaS environment, but most importantly, we want to help you simplify your migration and support that post-migration operations. You know, it's important to explore the purpose-built services programs that really can help you accelerate your mission to serve. But if you need some help, we have some experts in the hall next door. So take the time, sit down with them, and most importantly, explore the options of opportunities, or really the art of what's possible for you to accelerate your support to your customers. Now, I know you know this, but I'll point it out. You can't modernize without a dependable access to your data itself. The leaders that we speak with often tell us that they have all the data, but they need to access the data so that they can make better data-driven decisions. They tell us we spend millions of dollars on data and systems, but they lack the access. Or they've told us the organization struggles with the ability to actually deliver on the challenges that they hear within their organization. But if they can't sort it now, how are they going to sort it for the future? And that's why it's important to have a purpose-built data strategy. It does take people, process, and technology. It requires the ability to have technology and safeguard continuity for your entire workflow, but it really allows you to grow and evolve as your needs change. What we were talking about years ago is very different than what we're talking about now by the challenges that we have in our organizations. So you got to make sure you could store, analyze, and process the data. And we have a comprehensive set of services, so you never have to compromise on price, performance, speed, flexibility, and most importantly, scale. But just as important, you have to integrate those data sources so you can easily retrieve it and act on it. And the important word is act on it. So no matter where you're at in your data journey, AWS can take you to your data destination and unlock even more insights that maybe you weren't thinking about it early on. We can help you by first stabilizing to make your services work. 2, modernize and make those services better. And lastly, transform so that you could evolve to new services. Think about the opportunity to continue to evolve, and it's not a one-stop, it's a double click to the future and the opportunity, and you'll see that and you'll hear about that from some of our speakers today. So it's important to think big, start small, scale fast. Be strategic about getting those foundational data process and flows built into the architectures so that your enterprise mental model is established early. There will be keys to success and true scale, fast abilities, but it's each next use case will get easier. It might feel a little hard in the beginning, but I trust you. Trust me, and I trust you'll see the opportunity as you get one done, you'll see the opportunity to continue to go faster. It's not harder or more complicated, but you can't skip those steps. For when you go on the journey, your reward is true scalability without failure points. Let me give you an example. Research, it's an innovating practice. With researchers, they have access to lots and lots of data tools that enable rapid experimentation. We work with higher education and research institutions around the world to accelerate speed to science. And it's important that researchers can analyze that massive data quickly. They have to store petabytes of data. And they're using advanced research using AI, ML, and quantum, all while securely sharing the results globally. Emory University is a great example of an initiative that they're exploring societal impacts and artificial intelligence in hopes of influencing AI's future development for a better human health, generate economic value, and promote social justice through their initiative AI.Humanity Initiative. It's exciting to partner with Emory as they go through this journey because it opens up the opportunity for what is next. So when we talk about AWS and how we can fast-track innovation, many of our customers that how is through artificial intelligence and specifically AI, I think about a couple of things. There's not one meeting that I sit in today that within the first 10 minutes we're not talking about how generative AI is impacting their business or what it could do. But we also spend a lot of time of what it can and can't do or what it could do. The biggest question is, well, you've been exploring with it. You're trying to understand that model and how it works and what is possible with generative AI. I think the answer is pretty much everything. We're seeing customers pivot from exploring and testing to actually putting those ideas into practice. And it's exciting to partner with our customers to take them on the journey and be a part of it with them. Now, are there any sports fans out there? Any? Maybe? All right. So if you're familiar with the NCAA transfer portal, it's interesting to see how student athletes who are looking to change schools become immediately eligible. Now, when you think about the coaching staffs, the hours and hours and hours that they take watching videos, doing extensive research on students, going to games and watching, add in that transfer portal, makes it pretty complex. But the University of Pittsburgh is taking a unique approach, and this challenge is being a part of our partnership. I'm going to have Heather Lyke come up in just a second. She's the Director of Athletics for the University of Pittsburgh, and she's going to tell us how. But first, take a look at the video.
It's all about today. You got one opportunity to go 1-0.
All the stuff you've had to overcome, all the naysayers, all the doubters.
I'm still here.
For the first time since 1979, Pitt has won at Cameron. Got a hold of that one. Over the wall, home run, Panthers. And the Panthers overcome Wake Forest for the first time ever.
Rodney Hammond Jr. breaks free in the secondary. A foot race.
And Pitt scores. Scout dropped it. But here's Cole Matthews. And he's got the takedown.
For the first time in program history, Pitt is going to the national quarterfinals.
Pittsburgh is going to Tampa to play for the national championship for the third straight year.
From the University of Pittsburgh, please welcome to the stage, Heather Lyke.
Well, get you a little energized, right? Hopefully have a few sports fans out here, and I just want to thank Kim on behalf of the University of Pittsburgh for the opportunity to be with you all. I have been the athletic director at Pitt since 2017. And when we got there, there was an expectation that we had to raise our performance for success and raise our expectations. And what did that exactly mean? Well, first of all, we had to set a stage for what our vision was. And you can see the words there, building champions, and we're committed to excellence. And whoever proves their purpose actually owns that purpose. And our purpose is very clear. Building means we're never done. You're never satisfied with, even if after you win, next year you've got to continue to build and ascend. Your competition, right, is always trying to catch you. So we're constantly evolving, challenging ourselves to think differently, and building champions, individuals, teams, not just athletically, but personally, external champions, people who champion our athletic programs. So building champions means exactly kind of what I explained there. And then committed to excellence is not just about, we're aspiring to do this or we're trying to become the best. We're committed. There's no question about when you hear that word commitment, what that means. We are all in on being the best that you can possibly be. So when you see, that's our vision, that's, walk in the athletic department, you see these words everywhere. And so as we started this Building Champions committed to excellence vision, there's something I say often. How many of you have read the book or seen the movie Moneyball? Anyone? Years ago? Okay, great. Okay, think about the job that you currently are in today. How do you every day and every year challenge yourself to think differently about the same thing you've been doing forever? That is really the key takeaway from that story, the Moneyball. It is really the importance of evolving, and in the world of athletics and in your worlds, to gain a competitive advantage. In athletics, our success is very quantifiable. You either win or you lose. And so our focus is often, how do we gain a competitive advantage over our competition? And so, interestingly enough, at Pitt, data has become our new competitive advantage. And I'm sure you guys live in the world of data. We often think of college athletics very copycat. What they do at one school, everybody tries to copycat and do the same thing. But to create a competitive advantage for us, we have to constantly challenge ourselves. How are we going to approach a challenge or a problem differently? And so when I first got to Pitt, data, you may appreciate, was completely underutilized. And data, think of in the sports world, we have some fans out there, you know the stats, right? You hear all sorts of data stats, batting statistics, slugging percentage. You hear attendance figures, how much concession revenue do we earn, merchandise revenue. We have all sorts of high performance sports data. Data is everywhere in the world of college sports. And we thought that if we had the ability to build some type of infrastructure to leverage the data that we have, then it could become a difference maker for us. And so at Pitt, our ability to leverage data in a very new way has started to become a competitive advantage. So people ask, how did this happen? Like, what do you mean data? And sometimes we're slow in higher education or in college athletics. So first, we needed to have a culture that data is important. We can leverage and we can learn from it. And we started that by building a data team. We didn't have such a thing. We built a data team, started in about 2020, right after the pandemic. And then we realized, our athletic department is a part of a much bigger infrastructure on the campus, and they have a massive, IT department on campus. And so we integrated with our campus community to leverage the strength of the overall university. And that was going to become, we've got this team assembled, and now it's like, okay, what is our vision? How do we use data to our competitive advantage? All right, great. Now, the next step they really wanted to do is, can we find a technology provider out there or a teammate who had an interest in helping us pursue this vision? And that really led us to AWS. And the business challenge that Kim described, anyone familiar with the transfer portal? Like, have a little sense of it, right? Okay. So the specific business challenge that we had was, as Kim mentioned, student athletes go into this portal at the end of the year, typically at the end of their season. And the NCAA rules have allowed them to enter the portal and transfer immediately. So we have about 4,000 football student athletes that go into this transfer portal and hoping to get to another school. And in football today, and in all sports, but particularly as it works at Pitt, sport that we started with, and it's kind of tying into the theme, was, start small. Think big, but start small. So we started with football. And our success is very much dependent on how well we recruit players out of the transfer portal. And the challenge is really three things. How do you sort through and evaluate all these players as quickly as possible? Like within hours, not weeks, right? Not days, not weeks, hours. Number two, how do we utilize the data of the players in the portal to help our coaches recruit the type of player that they need most? And three, how do we do it faster and better than our competition? And many people in many places could have thrown a lot of money at this problem, hired a bunch of people to sort through all this data, and that's one way to approach it. But our idea with AWS was to work smarter and think differently. And so fortunately, we were able to collaborate with AWS and develop a much better cutting-edge solution. And here you'll see a little bit about it. So the cutting-edge solution, which we did, was we worked with AWS's experience-based accelerator team, and we built an automated system that leveraged Amazon's machine learning tools and generative AI, like Amazon Bedrock, and we evaluated thousands of college football players in the transfer portal every year. AWS helped us create a preliminary scouting report of each player, including natural language summary with information like player stats, players' experience, where all the different schools they've been, their hometown, their size, and a performance evaluation. So this system has been invaluable to our coaches. And I'll tell you, for example, has anyone heard of, do they know Damar Hamlin? You know, have you heard of Damar Hamlin? He played football for the Buffalo Bills. He had that heart condition that happened in a game 2 years ago at the Cincinnati Bengals game, and they revived him. Well, Damar is a Pitt football player and came to Pitt and was a safety. And so when we think about Damar, someone like Damar, our coaches are looking for a safety in the transfer portal just like Damar. Specifically, this is what the program would say. We want a safety to be at least 6 feet tall. We want them to have both long distance speed, short area quickness. They could cover any wide receiver in the country. They've got to be a willing and able tackler. So we program that, the tool we created with AWS, we program it to sort through thousands of players in the portal and point us directly to the ones that match that description. So that work previously would have taken about 5 staff members, probably about 15 weeks to actually come up with every single aspect of those needs. And now we can basically accomplish that with the click of a button. And without AWS, it would have never happened. And the future of college athletics, as we all know, is certainly changing. And I would just say that this example is just one way that we have used data to our competitive advantage, and all with the help and expertise of AWS. And as we head into the future of college athletics, we have a number of unprecedented challenges in front of us, and we have to honestly always think creatively about the work that we do and how do we approach these challenges. And I'm convinced there's no doubt that data and analytics will be a part of our solution. So we're just incredibly fortunate. I am honored to be here, but really incredibly fortunate to have AWS as our technology provider, and confident that our investment in data and analytics will position Pitt for lots of long-term success, hopefully many more highlight reels. And honestly, I just want to say thanks to AWS for this invaluable collaboration, and hail to Pitt, hail to AWS. Thanks. Thank you.
This is to get you thinking, right? When you have data and the opportunity that you could start to think big, and as you said, you started small but scale. And it does explain why Jamie has been spending some time in his alma mater. So we love the connection and the opportunity that it's provided. So thank you, Heather. You know, organizations do have to constantly invent. And when you think of whether it's a student, whether it's a constituent, whether it's a patient, it's making sure that you have the opportunity to think on their behalf, innovate on their behalf. We're seeing more and more customer applications transferred through AI to optimize and simplify these types of services. And when you think about the example that Heather spoke about, think about what you could be doing in the role that you have. Now, no pun intended, you had to tackle that in a very different way, and we are looking forward to seeing that success in the next season. We don't want Heather to give away too much because I know we want to see them at the top level. But I'm going to give you another example, move it into public safety. Take a look at Charleston County Consolidated Emergency Communication Center in South Carolina. They deployed Amazon Connect. It's an AI-powered contact center to divert non-emergency calls with information that the caller or online reporting is providing them. Instead, those agents can start to focus on those emergency calls more effectively, while callers are in non-emergency needs are directed and still getting the information that they need. But time matters in these types of environments. Again, it's what data are you able to pull in? How do you quickly assess? How do you solve that challenge? And how do we continue to relieve the challenges that some of those dispatch agents are dealing with? Take a look at North Central Texas Emergent Communications District here in Texas. They have evolved the way they're using AI so that they could flag an operator who has maybe experienced multiple very challenging emotional types of calls. Again, those agents are dealing with call after call after call. It'd be great if they had the data or their supervisor was aware of how much time they're spending on it, but more importantly, the severity or the tragic nature of some of the calls that they come in. They need a break. Well, how would that manager know that they needed the break? By using AI, generative AI, they're able to understand that that agent might have been experiencing some trauma as they're going through the calls. This gives those managers the opportunity to relieve those agents to take care of their own mental health as they deal with a very difficult role themselves. You know, a survey by Access Partnership and in partnership with AWS, we found that 92% surveyed organizations will plan to use AI or use AI-powered solutions by 2028. That's important because we are working really hard to democratize generative AI for all sizes and all technical abilities. We're doing this by offering the most comprehensive set of capabilities across 3 layers of the AI stack. Evolve, operate with confidence. You know, the bottom layer is the infrastructure. It's used to train large language models, or LLMs, and other foundation models and produce inferences and predictions. Upstage is a great example. They're a Korean AI startup, and when you start to think about languages and challenges, they recently launched their flagship LLM called Solar Mini. Solar Mini can easily customize and fine-tune to perform a wide range of language tasks in Korean, Japanese, and in English, such as understanding how to summarize, translate, and predicting new content. Now think of any of you who are dealing with case management and challenges of reporting. Start to think about how this could evolve and support those agents, whether it's agents or officers in the field or teachers summarizing for their students, how you can move quickly to help them move faster and more effectively for their constituents and students. You know, we talked about data, and I know many of you know this already, but data is your differentiator for generative AI. To tailor some of these applications, data needs to be up to date, complete, accurate, discoverable, and available when you need it, when your decision makers need it. That middle layer is simple access to all the models and all the tools to scale generative AI applications that you'll see. When I think about single model, it could be restrictive or somewhat limiting because there are different models for different use cases. And you have to be able to understand what your options are in order to make sure that you're delivering for the best results for the work that you're providing. AWS does give you that freedom of choice, so you have the ability to choose which model works best for your use case itself, and that's called Amazon Bedrock. It's a fully managed service that offers high-performing FMs from leading AI companies. They're designed from the ground up to support enterprise-grade scale, security, and privacy, ensuring that no customer data is ever used to improve the base model itself. Now, the top layer. We have been investing in applications for generative AI-based coding. And in April, we hit another major milestone in this journey by general availability of Amazon Q, our generative AI-powered assistant. Anybody here use Q yet? Oh, very nice, up in front too. Let me give you an example, and this is an exciting one, especially because we have the Olympics coming up. So Swimming Australia, which is the country's governing body for their team, using AWS generative AI, including Amazon Q, to enhance its training program as they prepped for the Olympics. That is actually starting Friday in Paris. I don't know about any of you, but if you watch the news, it's great to see the advertisements. It gets me excited just to think about the next couple of weeks, so hopefully everyone dials in for that. But what they were able to do is they were able to develop an athletic improvement system, an online portal powered by Amazon QuickSight. What the coaches were able to do was access real-time data on their swimmer and analysis during their pool training sessions. Another creative way of assessing all the data points that they could be collecting and improving and enhancing and helping their athletes ensure that they'll be successful during the Olympics themselves. You know, it's all about taking those that are interested in generative AI and actually being ready for AI and being responsible with AI. So whether you're upholding academic integrity, simplifying citizen engagement, generative AI can help any public sector customer to really truly be a force for good. Last month, so there's a QR code up, and I'm hoping everyone's going to pull up their phone in a couple of seconds because it's going to go quick. Last month at AWS Summit, we announced our public sector generative AI initiative, a 2-year, $50 million investment designed to help public sector customer organizations accelerate your innovation. We're here to help you support critical missions using AWS AI services and infrastructure. So check out the QR code, grab it now if you're thinking you want to do AI in your organization. This global initiative is available through June 30th, 2026. And we're excited to support you on your journey and solve for your customers, your students, and more importantly, constituents. But you know, when we think about the use of AI, we always tell our customers to first understand or identify a problem statement that you have. Doing AI, doing anything without a purpose or an understanding makes it hard. We call that our working backwards process. You align your challenge statement, then you pull that back and you work through the existing IT governance, risk management activities, and then you start to deploy the technology guardrails that allow you the opportunity to innovate. You consider what technologies should be adopted, how will they be governed, what skills and capabilities would be required to help you accelerate, but the important part is work backwards from your challenge statement. When I meet with my team, my first question always is like, what is the biggest problem that they have that they're trying to solve for? And then let's go help them. AWS is committed to developing fair and accurate AI and ML services, and providing those customers the tools and the guidance is most important so that you could scale generative AI safely, security, responsibility, because we want to reduce any risk of bias, privacy, or security concerns, and combat toxicity and misinformation. We take it seriously, and all of you should as well. As an organization, we are engaged with multi-stakeholders and, for example, OECD, the U.S. Artificial Intelligence Safety Institute Consortium, and the National Artificial Intelligence Advisory Committee. I will note we are also contributing partners to the National Science Foundation for Artificial Intelligence in Research Resource Pilot. So we are actively engaged to ensure all those actions are met, and more importantly, we're thinking and innovating on behalf with you. Do you want to see some AI in action? Yeah, we do. Oh, there you are. For those of you who don't know, I don't do this alone. I do this with an amazing partner. His name is Jamie Butler, who leads our Education SLG Solution Architect. They are the cornerstone. They are the rock. You're my bedrock. So thank you for providing me the opportunity for every single model that is available through our essays. So Jamie, I'm going to have you come on up.
Well, thank you, Kim. And good morning, everybody. I wore my Austin AWS shirt, so trying to represent. All right, as Kim said, I have the privilege of leading the solutions architecture team that's working in the field, helping to support all of you. And they put together this amazing demo today. And so what we really wanted to do is showcase and highlight some of the new innovation that's happening in AI. It's been rapidly evolving, and we can use it to really help our customers in education and government save time, make better decisions, and improve outcomes for your customers. So that's helping to improve the lives of students and citizens across the world. So we're really excited about this. Today I'm going to show you some of the recent advancements that have happened in Claude's Sonnet 3.5 model on Amazon Bedrock. So I want to tell the story and give you this demo through the lens of a customer. So think for a second, I'm a university professor. I know it's a stretch, but I'm going to pretend to be a university professor today. And as a professor, I'm asked to do so much, right? I've got to grade tests, create lesson plans, maybe some administrative tasks. I got to do my travel reports. Everyone loves doing expense reports. I also maybe have to write a grant proposal to get funding for that next project I want to work on. And so as I'm doing all of these things, like where do I actually want to focus my time? It's actually in educating students and doing research. And so we're going to walk you through a little bit of a demo of how AI can help me, the university professor, prepare for tomorrow's lecture. What I'm going to first do is ask Claude, hey, what am I teaching next semester? Tell me what's going on. This seems very simple, but what actually happens in the background here is a really cool technology called Agents for Bedrock. And what we're doing is the agent is able to reach out and talk to source systems of data on behalf of the user and collect information that's relevant and personalized for them. That source system in this particular case is a student information system, but it could also be a CRM, an ERP. You can imagine if you were a citizen and you wanted to check the status of your claims with government. This would allow you to reach out to those source systems of data and make sure that the information you're getting back is relevant to you. This is a document from the Texas state banking system. It's a very typical document, lots of charts, graphs, data, statistics, multiple pages. As a professor of economics, I might want to take this and use this as the course of the basis of a particular class I'm teaching. And I want to prepare that, but I'd have to read this multi-page document and digest it before I can go. So what I can do instead is I can use the large language model to digest this, understand this, and summarize the information, and make it available to me so I can read it quickly and decide, do I want to use this, or do I want to move on to something else? So next we're going to use Claude to read this information and summarize it for us. Now as it's doing this, I'm going to point out the last bit. You're going to see a couple of numbers at the end. And what's really important here is references back to the source material. So it's actually taking me back to where the specific parts of the document are, so I can reference. This goes back to our principles of responsible AI, understanding that we have veracity of the data and transparency into where it's coming from, so that we have confidence when we're delivering the things that are generated, we know how we got there. So now we've summarized this, it makes sense, I want to use this in my class. So next up, I want to understand some of the key different economic indicators. There's an important differentiator here. I'm asking it for the most up-to-date. What's really neat here is that it's not just summarizing the data, but it's actually able to use sophisticated reasoning to identify what the most up-to-date statistics are. Why that's important is there's lots of data in this document, but it's able to net out the specific things that are really important and the most relevant and recent. This look familiar? Charts, graphs. So the new model, Claude Sonnet 3.5, has multimodal capabilities. It can use vision capabilities to actually understand what's happening in these charts and to digest that data and make it available. So we're going to use AI to reconstruct this data in a different way and start to use it. So we're going to analyze these charts. We're going to combine the two of them together into a table. Now what you're seeing here is the line graph didn't have exact numbers on it. So it was estimating, using computer vision to realize and estimate the specific points, and you're seeing that here. But it's calling that out, again, responsible AI. Okay, so next up, I've decided I want to use this. This is great, lots of data I want to bring into my class. Now I have to create a presentation for my students. So what we're demonstrating right now is the ability of these models to actually write code. This is important for a professor who wants to write presentation slides, but imagine if you're a student and you want to learn how to do sophisticated software development, and you're in a computer programming class, and you want to learn some new things. AI can help you prototype new algorithms and build things out so you can learn much quicker. It can help employees, for software developers, accelerate line of business applications. and deliver value much faster for your customers to achieve your mission. So what you're seeing here is a revealed.js. That's, if you haven't seen that, it's just an open source framework for creating slides in HTML. And this was output this code, and next you're going to see it actually running. So this is the slide presentation that was automatically generated for me with all of the content from that document. So what you've seen here in this brief demo, and I know it was quick, but hopefully you got a really quick taste of how the new models are able to do multimodal inference, how to do sophisticated reasoning with data, and improve accuracy and relevance for the way that they're bringing information back to you. This is exciting because it's helping us accelerate time to value for the citizens and the students and the researchers that we're supporting, and we're really excited for the impact it's going to have on your missions. I have a call out that if you're excited about any of this new technology and you want to learn more, if you've got a great idea for what you could build next to support your teams, we have a great group of Ask the Experts next door. So my solution architects are going to be here to support you. If you want to learn more, you want to dive deep, you want to explore some of those credits that are available to help build AI tools, come check us out at the Ask an Architects booth. Next up, I'm going to turn it to Kim.
Pretty clever pulling up the Texas data there, Jamie. You know, whether it's adapting or personalizing education content, evaluating assessments, providing consistent feedback, or more importantly, saving educators time. Content creation, whatever it might be. AWS supports K through 12, districts, higher education institutions, the ed techs that actually serve for that innovation opportunity to transform how the world learns. For young learners developing new writing skills or intelligent writing, assistance can actually help them break through some of those blocks that they might have as they go through that journey. I want to highlight something that the National Library Board in Singapore worked with AWS to develop. It's called StoryGen. It's a generative AI application to provoke wonder and reading and learning. It was built on AWS Bedrock. It's called StoryGen, and it allows the user to actually add a unique twist to well-known stories or folklores based on a user's selection of genre, maybe location, maybe characters, and it actually then translates that into a visual as well. StoryGen is actually the second AI model that was built and prototyped through the National Library. And it's exciting to see them continue to evolve how they're going to change the dialogue. Chatbook, which was the original, provides the learner or the reader to actually create a dialogue based on the book's contents itself. So someone could invoke and talk as if they're engaging with the book itself. So it's quite exciting to see how we could actually make some of the children see and experience technology to actually get them to think big, think different, and continue to press the boundaries of what's actually possible. You know, it's exciting, and it's also a reminder for myself that some of those kids will be sitting in this audience in time to come. And a little bit, hopefully maybe even sooner than that, some of those kids will be standing on stage talking about how generative AI is going to change the way they learn. Or even having citizens stand up and say, this is how generative AI has improved how the states, the cities, or the counties are engaging them through their journey. You know, earlier I mentioned that 92% of the organizations surveyed plan to use AI-powered solutions, but in that same exact study, 72% or 75% actually say they are troubled by finding talent to actually help them accelerate or envision the opportunity with generative AI. If generative AI is the future workforce for tomorrow, we need to help them get ready. AWS is committed to build that next generation of talent, of developers and of data scientists in AI. If you're not aware, last year we launched AI Ready, which is a new commitment to provide free AI skills and training to 2 million people globally by 2025. because we want to remove the cost as a barrier to accessing those critical skills. We offer an AI and ML scholarship program for high school and university students from underserved or underrepresented communities. And we also offer free bias mitigation and fairness course from AWS Machine Learning University, featuring over 9 hours of lectures and exercises that a student can explore. And through AWS Party Rock, new AI learners can actually experiment in building with new simple AI queries. It's fun to, if you haven't checked out Party Rock, I encourage you to do so. It'll start your thought process going on how you could leverage AI in your own environment. But really, we're not actually just building the next generation. We're equally committed to upskilling and reskilling, and it's an important one to note. When we think about how many individuals that are out there or even in this room today say, hey, how is AI impacting what I do? Our commitment is to help you upskill and reskill. In December of 2020, we announced that we were investing hundreds of millions of dollars to train 29 million people. Anybody remember that announcement? It's exciting, and the reason why is that we're actually ahead of schedule. We've actually trained 31 million learners across 200 countries and territories. And again, that's our commitment to make sure that those that are out there, whether it's new or learning or relearning, we're all lifelong learners. And that's the important part as you look at your own journey for your teams. Our training portfolio truly meets all needs of all levels, regardless of where you're at in your technical journey. We have AWS Restart, for those who are underemployed or unemployed, to AWS Skill Centers that actually offer in-person learning centers and immersive exhibits that actually bring cloud computing to life. AWS also offers digital, self-paced trainings and learnings through AWS Skill Builder and AWS Educate. So if you haven't checked those out, make sure you do so. You know, just over a year ago, we announced the AWS Skills to Job Tech Alliance. It actually brings together global Fortune 500 companies and other employers, government agencies, workforce development organizations, and education leaders to address the foundation of skills development. At the time of launch, we started with 5 priority regions. They were Illinois, New York, Washington, as well as Egypt and Spain. We then expanded that program to West Virginia and globally to Brazil, Colombia, Germany, India, Italy, and Singapore. And I'm super excited to announce that we are actually coming to Texas, where Skills to Job Tech Alliance will now include Dallas and Houston, and we do expect to expand that across other areas of Texas in 2025. Participants currently in 4 institutions. Those are some of the participating employers and organizations. And I want to say a huge thank you to the Skills and Jobs team and our Texas Tech Alliance participants for your commitment to growing this initiative. You know, speaking of Texas, there's a lot to be excited about the innovation efforts that are going on here in the state, particularly in AI, and it's happening all right here. Amanda Crawford, who is the Chief Innovation Officer for the state of Texas and Executive Director of the state agency, is responsible for protecting critical technology infrastructure, managing a multi-billion-dollar cooperative contracts program, and providing strategic technology solutions to the Texas government. I met Amanda, we were just talking about it earlier, I think she was 2 weeks in role, and it's been exciting to watch the efforts and her investment in improving and offering the state of Texas an opportunity to innovate. So inspiring that she was actually announced in 2019, that you were actually announced the CIO 2020 for the National Association for State Chief Information Officers. Before she comes on stage, I'm gonna roll another video. Go ahead.
At the Texas Department of Information Resources, we empower public entities with secure, strategic, cost-effective, and innovative technological solutions, transforming how Texas government serves Texans. As a technology agency for the state, we help other public sector organizations use technology safely and wisely. DIR serves publicly funded organizations and works with state leadership, state agencies, education sectors, local governments, and industry leaders to determine statewide technology priorities. Here at DIR, our mission is to support your success. We deliver the strategic thinking, purchasing power, and policy insights required by public organizations today. We provide technology solutions for government entities with a flexible, trusted process, delivering a positive return on investment. We protect customers' information resources by strengthening the state's security posture. With our modern, secure, and reliable IT services and solutions, you can focus on serving your constituents and delivering on your mission. Whether it's cooperative purchasing, managed services, or telecommunications, we've got you covered with the right technology at the right price. How can we help you?
From the Texas Department of Information Resources, please welcome to the stage, Amanda Crawford.
Hello. So great to be here. Thank you, Kim and AWS, for having me here. First order of business is we're going to go back to the office. We're going to call Heather and the team at Pitt and get a way better hype video. But that's okay. We're government. That's what we do. But anyway, as Kim said, I'm Amanda Crawford, and I have the privilege of serving as the Executive Director of the Texas Department of Information Resources and also the Chief Information Officer for the state of Texas. What you might not know is that I'm also a movie star. I'm actually an actor. It is true. It's worth a Google. Go look at IMDb. So let me tell you a little bit about the fact that I was in a movie. It's not an AI hallucination. And let me tell you how the craziness all happened. So one Sunday back in 2015, my husband and I decided to grab a coffee at a local coffee shop. And when we show up, there's a film crew, and they're filming one of those Hallmark Christmas movies. So with a keen eye for obvious talent and an absolutely blatant disregard for physical appearance and dress, the director asked me and my husband if we wanted to be in the movie. Of course, we said yes, and he handed us shopping bags, gave us critical notes, earrings, on how to shop and look like we were shoppers. I didn't need many notes on that. And action. 2 stars were born. Actually, only one, because only one of us made the final cut. So I am actually not the lovely young woman in the green coat with the dog. That's me brilliantly portraying a shopper crossing the street. And I love that they captured my best side. Really, really, really excited about that. So while my Oscar nomination somehow got lost in the mail, I do feel like my stint in the biz qualifies me as an expert in movies. And it occurred to me recently that the predictable plots of those Hallmark romantic comedies are quite like the relationship that we in the public sector have with new technologies. It turns out that like Hallmark movies, technology life cycles can be pretty predictable too. So Gartner calls this the hype cycle. It's that graphical representation of how technology develops and matures over time that includes 5 key phases of a technology's life cycle. Well, today, again, I'm going to draw upon my vast acting experience to illustrate how some of those rom-com movie tropes also slot in to Texas government's journey with generative AI. So we're going to start with our protagonist, the state of Texas. Lone Star State spans more than 270,000 square miles and is home to more than 30 million people. While our population is large, Texans like their government small, and they expect maximum value from the tax dollars. Our state's leadership is pro-innovation and pro-job creation, but not at the expense of Texans' privacy, freedoms, or opportunities. Texas is a federated state when it comes to technology. This means that each agency is responsible for its own technology and cybersecurity within their environments. My agency, DIR, serves, among other things, as a guide to technology services, solutions, and strategy. So back to our movie metaphor. When Texas state government met generative AI, sparks flew. A new technology that promised to exponentially increase productivity while saving the state money. You could say that Texas was ready to swipe right and pursue that relationship. In the Get to Know You phase, DIR launched the Texas Innovation and Education Center that offers workshops, trainings, and an innovation lab to help agencies stay up to date with all the things AI. We formed an AI user group, which provides access to AI subject matter experts, use cases, training opportunities, and more. And we've hosted 2 full-day events for state employees to hear about the benefits of AI and what that can do for Texas government. Just like every new love, there's tremendous excitement and promise, and it seems like all our problems will be solved with generative AI. The relationship seems destined to be a match made in heaven. For example, the Texas Department of Public Safety is working with AWS and an AWS partner to implement AI and machine learning for their fleet of more than 5,000 vehicles. This solution will enable predictive maintenance analytics to learn the unique wear patterns that are associated with law enforcement vehicles and provide real-time maintenance alerts that don't rely on manual, paper-based data logging, helping to protect those who protect us. A truly great use case. However, just like in any new relationship, we must define it, set boundaries, put in place guardrails to leverage AI responsibly. We can't go straight from our meet cute to the altar. Thus, in the past year or so, there's been a huge increase in the conversations and discussions around generative AI and its foundational building blocks, data and privacy. Last session, the Texas legislature passed House Bill 2060, creating the Artificial Intelligence Advisory Council. The AI Council is a 7-member body charged with studying how Texas state agencies are using AI. I'm so honored to be a part of the council. It's been a rewarding experience for me to hear how my colleagues in state government are starting to use AI to improve their operations and their service delivery for Texans. House Bill 2060 also directed state agencies to provide the council with an automated decision systems inventory so we can gauge how AI is currently being used. The council is now reviewing those inventories and will report back to the legislature on the state use of AI. And we also want to know how it's impacting Texans' liberty, finances, livelihoods, and privacy interests. The council will decide if state government needs a code of ethics for AI use and recommend other policies to protect Texans from any of the negative impacts of this emerging technology. As the state's relationship with AI progresses, we need to make sure that these issues are resolved before the relationship can go further. So, if this were a rom-com, how would our movie end? Will we live happily ever after? Well, at this point, state officials are being thoughtful and deliberate in making sure that we fully understand the landscape and the potential impacts of generative AI and other disruptive technologies. Our state officials must conduct enough research to know that the technology they're deploying is proven and the vendors that we're working with are reliable. We cannot experiment with Texans' access to government services, nor with their tax dollars. We must respect that constituents accept the state being deliberative in adopting new technologies, but they do not accept us being reckless, wasteful, or flat out wrong. We may have to kiss a few toads, including headless AI-generated ones like the guy on the screen, to find our AI Prince Charming and ride off into the sunset. Because the reality is, life isn't a movie. We don't get dress rehearsals or retakes in the high-stakes world of maintaining the public trust. So if the government approach to new technologies like generative AI is predictable and intentional, that's a good thing. A thoughtful and steady approach to implementing new technology ensures that the cybersecurity, data, privacy, and bias concerns are considered before they snowball into bigger issues and a very messy, very public breakup. Thank you very much. I'm available for autographs after the show.
Thank you so much. You might have to copyright that, or I might have to get some rights to some of that, because I'm going to use that. Thank you, Amanda. And it is truly amazing to see the great work that the state of Texas is doing. And it's all about celebrating. So we're going to celebrate again, not just what's been going on in public sector, not just finding inspiration to do even more. I want to celebrate our champions. So if you don't know about the AWS Champions program, it's an opportunity for us to recognize influential institutions, programs, and agencies or departments who are innovating for their citizens as well as for their students. If you attended Imagine in Seattle in 2022, it was our inaugural announcement of the Champions for Education. We didn't stop there. We then went to Sacramento and said, hey, we're going to include the champions for state and local government. And this year in Austin, it's my honor to officially announce that we've expanded the AWS Champions programs to our EdTech and GovTech business, or we lovingly call our XTech business. So let's meet some of our champions. So first, behind me, we've listed our 2024 education champions. For those of you who are on this list in the room, either stand up, throw your hand up. We want to give you a round of applause. And for those of you that are in the room, these are our state and local government champions. So if you're in the room, please raise your hand or stand on up. And we'd like to give you a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. And lastly, welcome to the Champions Club, our XTechs. Again, if you're in the room, please stand up. We'd like to recognize you as well. We're in the final stretch, folks, but several of the champions that either stood up, had their hands up, or not in the room, they are sharing their wealth of information and experience. They're going to be participating in some of the panels, so please make sure you continue that learn and be curious and hear about some of the great efforts that they have. And congratulations to the champions. We're excited about the growth of the program and new ways. Our website is up and available. You could hear about their amazing stories there as well. And as I close, again, my favorite, maybe it's because I have a little bit of education stuff in me as well. Learn and be curious. Look for ways to incorporate AI, generative AI, into your institutions, into your organizations, because it's really an opportunity to rethink the digital experience for your teams, students, communities, and design security and resiliency into those solutions with AWS. Thank you again to our incredible keynote speakers. I really appreciate watching your journey, and now I know where Jamie's at all the time. Thank you. It's public sector organizations like yours that are really reimagining what's possible, and we appreciate every single one of you who are doing that on the behalf of your organizations and who you serve. Maybe it'll be your next time on stage and talking about the great work that you're doing in your organizations. And as I always tell my team, feedback is a gift. There is a mobile app. If you haven't downloaded, make sure you do. We want to make sure that we continue to evolve the program to ensure that we're meeting your expectations. So again, feedback is a gift. It's crucial to our continued evolve of the program. But right now, go imagine, and thank you for joining us.